Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna do a get to know the romance reader video. So I've seen a few of my friends do this video. I think the one I most recently saw was Chapters We Love did it, and I know this is based on a tag created by Bree from Falling for Romance. I'll have her blog post linked down below if you want to check it out and get the questions so you can do it yourself, because I think it's super fun and I think everyone should do this tag because it's just so interesting to me. So I have some questions I'm going to answer and we're going to get to know my romance reading history. So the first question is, what is your romance origin story? How you came to read your first romance book? So I have talked a little bit about how I was a horse girl growing up and I read horse books like non-stop. And I remember being around 13 or 14, and I was 14, but I was around 13 when I started feeling like peer pressure, like maybe I shouldn't read these horse books anymore because everybody else is reading grown-up books and I'm still reading about black stallions and girls who rescue horses, even though I loved it, and I look back on that now and I feel so sad. But so I was around 14 when I was starting to try and read other things other than just my like my middle grade horse books, which were my favorite. And so I got a gift actually from my brother for my birthday, and it was Montana Sky by Nora Roberts. And the cover of this doesn't, or it didn't, the edition that I had didn't look like your typical romance novel. I'm pretty sure he didn't even realize it was a romance novel or he wouldn't have given it to me. But it was a romance novel about these like sisters who, I don't know if they inherited a ranch or if they just lived on a ranch. Anyway, it was basically about this family who lived on this ranch, and I remember there was like the romance and it was wow. But there was also like this big mystery, like, Nora Roberts does romantic suspense really well, so this was kind of that too. Anyway, this was the first legit romance book I ever read, and I was like, this is a thing I can read? It was fantastic. So that started me on my romance journey, and I read a lot of Nora Roberts all throughout high school. She had a Sea Swept series that I really loved, and she also had like the McGregor brothers that I really loved, which was before I even knew that Highland romance was a thing. And yeah, I read all of hers. Like, I remember going to the thrift store and only looking for Nora Roberts books because I loved her so much. And one of my favorite memories from that time is just like having a Saturday off from work and school and just laying in bed all day and just binging all of them, like as many books as I could. It was a good time. Yeah. So she was the one who got me into romance, and I can thank my brother for that, I suppose. Okay, the next question is, if you could be the heroine in a romance novel, who would be the author, and what's one trope you insist be in the story? My author to write my romance story, I would have to say that would be Sarah MacLean, who is my favorite. And I pick her not only because of just the fantastic romance that she writes, but I also really love how much agency and development that she has the female heroine get. Like, I love that so much, and so she would be the author for me. And my trope I would want to have is enemies to lovers, because that's my favorite trope. Question number 3 is, what is a romance you've read this year that you want more people to read? I know it says A, but I have 4 that I'm going to talk about. So this will probably come as no surprise to you if you have watched any of my other videos. One that I think I definitely want everyone to read is The Rakes by Scarlett Peckham. This is one of my favorite dark historical romances that also is so great about women fighting the patriarchy. And the romance in here is just so sweet and also really hot. So this is about Serafina, who is, so whenever I talk about a feminist historical romance and people talk about bringing down the Duke, I'm like, no. What you want is the Rakes. This book is so fantastic in the way that it talks about how women's rights really didn't exist at this time, and Serafina, who is the Rakes, she really broke through those social boundaries and strove to have a life that she wanted to live. But in doing that, she also kind of paid for that with how she was treated in society and some, you know, things that happened to her that were honestly kind of scary and unsettling, but she never ever compromised what she knew was right, and not only for her own life but for all women everywhere. And it was just wonderful to see that play out in her life. So I think this is a series because you see other characters in this book that you are going to show up in other books, hopefully. And I just absolutely loved it and adored it. As soon as I read this, I had to find everything that Scarlett Peckham had read and just read it. I feel like the romance in here is so lovely, and there's so much longing in it too, and a little bit of heartbreak, but of course you get HEA in the end. And it was just perfection. I loved it. Another book that I would want everyone to read is All Scott and Bothered by Kerrigan Byrne. This was our November pick for the Rake Appreciation Society, is the book club that I do with Jen from the Book Refuge. I loved this book so much, and I feel like if you have read Kerrigan Byrne before, but you've maybe been put off a little bit by just how dark that she gets, this one would maybe work for you better, because I feel like the darkness in this romance is not, I mean, it's still there, but it's not quite as soul-crushing as some of the other books that I've read, especially the first book in this series. But I really love this book, and I want more romance readers to read it because we have a plus-size heroine who has excellent plus-size representation. She's also an extremely smart character. She's also really, really loving and tender and forgiving. And the hero, Ramsey, is just an exceptional alpha who then becomes a cinnamon roll for Cecilia. And that is my favorite thing. So I want more people to read this book because it was fantastic. And another book that I want everyone to read, which maybe y'all have and I'm just late to the game, and that is Wolfsong by TJ Klune. I read this book and it just changed my life. I'm not even kidding you. This book is an MM romance. It follows a family of wolf shifters and humans, and it really talks about what love really is and how a fated mate or a soulmate type of thing can still have agency and choice in it. But the thing that I love the very most about this book is just the way that TJ Klune deals with acceptance and love for people who maybe are outside of the boundaries of what society wants to deem appropriate for love. And I just feel like this is such an important and a lovely and a heartfelt book that I feel like everyone should read, because it really makes you just appreciate and understand that there isn't just one type of love, and it was perfect. Okay, question number 4 is, what is your favorite romance subgenre? I don't think that will surprise anyone that it's historical romance. That is my favorite romance subgenre. I freaking love it, and I think the next one after that is probably fantasy romance, although I have been getting more interested in dark romances too. And what subgenre, this is the second part of that question, what subgenre have you not read much from? And I would say that is romantic suspense. I hardly ever read just straight romantic suspense, and I honestly never search them out. So that's something that I am not really interested in right now, but maybe one day. Maybe one day I will be. Okay. And question number 5 is, who are your auto-buy romance authors? So I have many on this list. Sarah McLean, Lisa Kleypas, Kerrigan Byrne, auto-buy. Anything they write, I gotta buy it. I'm gonna buy it. If they wrote it, I'm buying it. I don't even need to know what it's about. I'm just buying it. We also have Scarlett Peckham, Brittany C. Cherry. Definitely gonna buy everything that they write and publish. I've already got most of their backlist. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Juliet Cross is a new one. I just recently read Wolf Gone Wild. Abso-friggin-lutely loved it, and now she is on my auto-buy author list because that book was fantastic. And I also have Joanna Shupe. I love Joanna Shupe's books. Some of them I have not loved as much as others, but I trust her so much to write such a great, lovely romance that is super spicy too, that I will read anything she writes. And Pam Godwin is a new one who I discovered because of Jen from the Book Refuge when I read Sea of Ruin. I loved that book so much that now I sort of feel like anything that she writes, I'm here for it. Okay, question number 6 is, how do you find book recommendations? And probably the biggest place that I find book recommendations from is BookTube. I don't feel like that's very surprising. I have you know, we all have those booktubers that we watch where we feel like we trust that our tastes are similar, and even if they're not necessarily similar, the way that they describe a book, we know that either we'll like it or we don't. So I definitely trust the most probably Jen from the Book Refuge and Jesson from Jesson Reads Romance, and there are so many. Like, obviously Jess from Peace Love Books, I have, for years, I've watched her videos, and her recommendations are basically how I read romance for several years, so she's definitely on that list too. But I also love finding recommendations from Instagram and different Discord groups, and even on Twitter. Like, I follow a lot of really cool people on Twitter. I'm just starting to find other romance readers on there, and I've tried a few of their recommendations out, so yeah. But basically, it's just social media. Okay, question number 7 is, what is an upcoming release you're excited for? I have several. These are just the ones that I am most excited for. They don't necessarily have a date yet, but that is probably the biggest one is Hell's Bells by Sarah McLean. That comes out next year. It's her new series. It's the first one in a 4-book series, and this is basically about a gang of Victorian women who are hell-bent on smashing the patriarchy. So definitely here for that. And then I am also really anticipating Devil in Disguise by Lisa Kleypas. This is, all I know about this is what it says on Goodreads. It's about a widowed lady and a Scot on the run. Hyped about that one. And another book that I am really looking forward to is Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. Nessian, I need it. I need it yesterday. I can't wait for that book. So, question number 8 is, what is a misconception about romance you would like to lay to rest? Well, how much time do you have? I have a couple. I talk about these pretty often on my channel. I am a proud romance reader now. I have in the past been a closet romance reader. And now I'm at the point in my life where I don't freaking care what anybody says. But I also feel a big sense of righteous anger when people discredit or try to downgrade romance and act like it's not important. So some of the myths that I really want to stop happening, the biggest one is that romance books are porn. No. I hate that. I hate that that even exists. I feel like it's ridiculous that that is still being talked about. Yes, of course, some romance books are more steamier than others, but to equate them as porn is just, no, not even close. Another one I would like to lay to rest is that romance is only fluff, that it is only like a palate cleanser, that it's only good for fluff, that you can't deal with heavy, sensitive topics in there, that you can't have great conversations from romance. I hate that. I feel like that is one of the most damaging lies about romance books, that they are not worth having a conversation about. I need that one to go. Okay, I have one more, and that is that romance books are not worthy of 5 stars. This one really bothers me because I feel like if you are a type of person that feels like you cannot give a romance book 5-star reads, then just don't rate it, okay? Because if you're that held back from feeling like any book that is a romance is not worthy of a 5-star read, you're just doing a huge discredit to the author and a huge discredit to other romance readers who are looking for romance books. So if it offends your sensibilities to feel like you cannot give a romance book 5 stars, just stop it. Grow up and read something else if you feel that strongly about it. Because I can't even tell you how many romance books I have read specifically this year that have changed the way that I think about life and relationships, that have changed the way that I think about society, that have changed the way that I think about individuals who are different from me or who have a disability or some experience, nothing in my personal life to relate to. And if that's not worthy of a 5-star, I don't really know what is. So I really wish that those 3 are probably the biggest ones that just really irritate me, and I need them to go away because you're wrong and that's stupid. Question number 9 is, who is the most recent romance reading content creator you came across you would like to shout out? Okay, Now, these are 3 that I have found when I made this video. I'm not sure when I'm going to post it, so if I have found new ones by then, I will have to do a future video for the new romance content creators that I have found. Is it even a crystal video if I don't have soda? So they are Melissa from Libraries and Labradors. Melissa has a really broad reading spectrum. Like, she reads very broadly, and she doesn't just read romance, but she's the type of reader that looks for romance in the books that she's reading. I know she's really fond of classics. She likes to read autobiographies. She reads pretty broadly, so I am really interested to see, as her channel grows and progresses, like what she kind of zeroes in on and narrows down on her taste. But she's just a super sweet person, and I am really loving the videos that she's making. And another person is Dynamic Dylan, who I just recently found through Shay Geeks Out. Dylan is a sweet bean, and he is just a ray of sunshine, and he is so hilarious. His videos are so engaging. He just recently started reading romance, and I'm excited to see the videos that he makes about that too. So Dylan, definitely check him out for sure. And my last one is Sam from Griffin Reads. Now, Sam has a really delightful British accent, which makes her videos super enjoyable, but Sam also reads pretty broadly. She doesn't just stick to romance, but I feel like that's kind of cool to see how that influences her ratings and reviews of romance books. And Sam also really gives thoughtful reviews on the books that she's reading. She's really able to put her thoughts into words and get the point across about what she liked about that book, and I really love her videos, and I really enjoy her perspective on romance books. It's just, she's great. So those are the 3 that I would highly recommend that you go check out. I will have them linked down below. Make sure you go give them a follow, because they're all great people and you should be watching their videos. The last question that I have is, if someone had never read a romance before and asked you to recommend 3 romances as places to start, which would they be? So I'm going to go with 3 books that really hit me with how broad reaching they would be, as in I feel like these would draw in a lot of people to the romance genre. So the first book is Truth or Beard by Penny Reid. I feel like this is one of the best romantic comedies that I have ever read, that also has that really powerful, hit you in the chest love story. I love the way that she writes about like the inner dialogue that the heroine has, and she also has the point of view from the hero. I thought this book was just a pure delight. It was so fun, and I could see this appealing to a lot of people, especially if you were new to romance. I think this would be a really good one to start with. Another book that I feel like would have really broad appeal is Wolf Gone Wild by Juliet Cross. I know I've been talking about this a lot recently, but I just loved it so much, and I feel like for a lot of the same reasons that I recommend Truth or Beard, I would also recommend this. And I would also say that this would be a good recommendation for people who want something more than just a romance plot. So if you want like a fantasy or any type of element in there, this would be a good suggestion for that too. I feel like this has great humor. This has a really swoony romance. This has great characters and great family aspect. This has a really creative, magical world. This book was just so fun and just unputdownable, and I loved it. And the last book that I would recommend on my list of 3 would be Brazen and the Beast by Sarah MacLean. So I would recommend this, even though this is the second book in this series, because this is my favorite, and I feel like this is such a powerful book that even people who don't read romance would still feel how powerful this genre can be. Also because Beast just loves Hattie and their heat. So this book, so the Bare Knuckle Bastards series follows like siblings, or they're not really siblings, more like found family siblings, who were trying to win the place of who will be the next duke. And the 3 of them who didn't win were kicked out, and they sort of ended up bonding together and building their own family and home in kind of like the slums of London. This book follows one of those children who is Wit, but he goes by Beast, and he ends up meeting Hattie, who is a young woman who's really trying to make a life for herself for the life that she wants instead of what society wants to put her in. So this book is about the year of the Hattie when she is trying to go and find the things that are going to bring her happiness and are going to make her live the life that she wants to live. And their romance in here was so hot and it was so lovely and just powerful, and I loved seeing how considerate Beast was for Hattie's feelings. I feel like there is great consent in here, and I also really love what a powerful, strong heroine that Hattie was. Also, she's a plus-size character, so that is awesome as well. This book was just perfect, and it was literally, I could not have asked for a better historical romance. So, those are my questions for this Get to Know the Romance Reader. I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love for all of my romance book loving friends to do this video so I can watch it and learn more about them, because it's one of my favorite videos to watch and it's super fun. And if you don't make videos but you felt like you really want to answer one of these questions that I did, let me know what that is down below. I'd love to know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.